Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. They met under skies that weren't theirs. Shekinah Garner walked into Istanbul like a woman going into a fantasy she was both scared of and addicted to. The air was thick with history. The streets told secrets. The mosque stood tall like promises. And she encountered him amid the echo of a strange city's heartbeat. Sarper, a moniker that would soon become a part of her skin, her memory, and her undoing. Their love wasn't sweet. It wasn't soft. It didn't develop slowly like vines wrapping around a garden wall. It came quickly, violently, and like a wave that sweeps you under before you know you've gone too far from shore. And Shekinah didn't fight it. She jumped toward Sarper like he was her savior. Or at least something to keep her mind off of what she was running from. Her life in Los Angeles was well-ordered, with her routines, her job, and her duties as a mother. But her heart, that has been broken for a long time. Years of attempting to fix it with short-lived relationships and self-help books had made her want something that seemed like fate. And Sarper, with his chiseled body, gloomy demeanor, domineering nature, and seductive personality, felt like fate hiding behind danger. There were signals of trouble from the start. The envy, the desire to own, the hopes. But Shekinah thought closeness was the same as intensity. She thought that if someone wanted to take you entirely, it would imply you were finally worth claiming. She felt chosen for the first time in years. Sarper was both kind and cruel at the same time. One minute he was singing Turkish lullabies to her, and the next he was removing her male followers on Instagram. She told herself it was just culture. Or maybe something bad happened. Or maybe love just looked different in Istanbul. For weeks they lived like that, with her heart racing up and down and his rules tightening around her like silk cords. And then, for a reason none of them could understand afterward, they did the unthinkable. They tied the knot. In secret. Quickly. Without making a sound. No dress for the wedding. No family. No cameras. No clapping. In a frigid municipal courthouse, there were only 2 signatures. The clerk hardly looked up. The light above flickered. And after the last page was stamped, they walked back into the city as husband and wife. Not because of the ceremony, but because they were keeping it a secret. Shekinah thought that being married would improve things. That Sarper, who used to be her spouse, would change. That his dedication will grow. That he would finally let her in, not just into his flat, but also into his heart. She assumed that getting married would make her concerns go away. But that made Sarper quiet instead. The emotional estrangement started almost right away. His calls were short. His tone was sharp. His eyes didn't look for hers anymore. He still said, "I love you." But it felt like he had to say it, not like he wanted to. And when she flew back to Los Angeles to get the visa and see her kid again, something in him broke off totally. She tried to keep in touch. Every night she called. Sent voice messages. Sent him notes with pressed flowers from gardens in California. But his answers got shorter. Then more slowly. Then gone. The man who had once asked her to be his forever now acted like he didn't know her. Weeks went by. Then months. No one addressed her queries. There were a lot of rumors. His photos on social media showed him laughing, drinking, and posing without a shirt in gyms. In the comments, women flirted. He never turned them off. He never stood up for her. He never even talked about her. Shekinah kept the secret the whole time. No one realized she was married in the eyes of the law. Not her family. Not her kid. Not her best friends. The people who made 90 Day Fiancé didn't know. She had kept it a secret since she thought it would be something to celebrate later. But now the quiet was a prison. She was stuck in a marriage that no one knew about with a man who didn't act like her spouse anymore. Memories kept coming back to her. Their first time walking across the Galata Bridge. The night he showed her how to pronounce Bensani Seviorum. How he used to gaze at her like she was the only lady in the world. What had changed? Or had he always been this way, and she had just been too in love to see? Shekinah got worse and worse as she got more and more alone. She stopped hanging out with friends. Stopped putting up selfies. No longer smiling. Some nights, she would sit in her apartment and stare at the marriage certificate she had hidden in a drawer, wondering if it was all a dream. But she didn't. The papers were real. There was pain. It was all real. The shame, the bewilderment, and the silent undoing. Something inside her broke by the end of the year. She bought a one-way ticket to Istanbul. Not to start over. Not to fix. But to finish it, she arrived on a dreary December morning. The city that had previously seemed like a fairy tale now seemed strange, drab, and chilly. She didn't send Sarper a text to let him know she had arrived. She didn't want to see him. She didn't do that. She went straight to the courthouse. She shook as she gave the papers to him. The clerk hardly responded. It was simply another file and another missed promise. Sarper didn't hug her when he got there 1 hour later. Didn't say sorry. He seemed exhausted. Not caring. Like a man who has to do something he doesn't want to do. They didn't talk. She was the first to sign. Then he did. It was done in 15 minutes. She didn't cry as she went out into the streets of Istanbul for the last time. She didn't turn around. She simply took a breath. She felt the weight of him slip off her shoulders for the first time in months. She went to a quiet motel by the water that night. She sat by the window and watched the ferries float across the Bosphorus. She let herself remember. The laughing, the vows made late at night, the sense of being noticed. And then she let it go like smoke. Life went on in Los Angeles. But Shekinah was different. She moved at a slower pace, trusted less immediately. She used to love the glitter, but now it seemed too bright for her. She was alone more often, walked around, wrote poems, slept without having any dreams. People wanted to know what had happened to Sarper. She grinned and shook her head. She would say, "We didn't work out." But the echoes stayed inside her. She retained the ring, not because of feelings but as a reminder of what love isn't. A reminder that being picked in secret is not the same as being honored in public. This is a reminder that getting married doesn't mean you'll never feel alone again. And Sarper? He went on quickly. In public. Selfies, clubs, and women. He never said anything about the divorce. Never talked about the marriage. It seemed to him that it had all been a break, a chapter he had already closed before she had even opened hers. But maybe that's the worst part of love, knowing that while you were making a home for someone, they were already getting ready to leave. Shekinah is rebuilding today. One brick at a time, one grin at a time. She is not the same woman who got on that plane to Turkey. That version of her thought that love might make things better, that marriage would make her feel less alone, that a man could be the answer. She knows better now. There are no contracts for love. It comes with understanding. Being married doesn't save you. You save yourself. And sometimes the strongest promise you can make is to leave. Shekinah didn't cry when the last order came in the mail. It was stamped, final, and unchangeable. She lit a candle, played some music, and danced. By yourself. All. No cost. Because the ending isn't always sad. It's a return. To yourself. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.